edition of the 2024 MLB Draft Spotlight Show. We're going about back to back with Wake Forest here. We had Chase Burns a couple of weeks back, but it's time to bring Michael Massey into the fold. Sewanee, Georgia. Michael, welcome to the show, dude. Been looking forward to talking to you for a couple of years.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, so we kick this thing off the same way every week. It's a good opportunity for you introduce yourself, the viewers, the listeners. Who's Michael Massey, man? Like, what are you on the mound? What are you off the mound? How do you like to kill your spare time?
Um, I like to spend time with teammates, friends, family, girlfriend, kind of just hanging out with everybody. Do a lot of school. Don't really have too much time to do other things. Like to read. I'd fish a lot when I had time, but yeah.
And how about on the field? Like, what's your temperament? What kind of a competitor are you?
I'd say I'm pretty chill, but I also kind of cutthroat at the same time. I'm not gonna like be too vocal or be too aggressive visually, but you can kind of tell that I have a little bit of an edge to me.
You strike me as the type of guy who has a bit of a slow heartbeat. You don't let the game speed
Yeah,
up.
no, I mean, if you let the game speed up, it gives you a lower chance to execute the next pitch. So
Makes
it's no
sense.
need in my eyes.
Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about your time at Wake Forest. So, you've pitched in a couple of different roles. Now you're going to be taking on an expanded role in 2024. What kind of an advantage do you think it brings to you, to the mound, to having served all those different types of situations?
I think it gives me, I mean, versatility, just like if we get delayed, so what? Game is earlier than usual, so what? I can get ready fast. I can do what I need to do. I'm pretty adjustable. And then it's also just like when I started my freshman year, my first inning was always my worst. Now I learned last year when I sometimes only had one inning, kind of got to figure it out a little sooner. So I can like learn from that from last year and come out guns blazing in the first inning and get settled in the game a little easier.
You talk about getting hit early. Is that a good example of the most adversity that you've faced on the baseball diamond, or is there another thing that you can point to that you've kind of had to battle through?
I mean, I had elbow surgery in high school, so that's always something that's there. Um, no, I'd say just ups and downs in between, like having bad outings, figuring out how I want to attack the next one. And just definitely was a little bit of a had to bite my ego a little bit last year going into the pen, especially first time in my life, and kind of had to buy into that for the team.
Okay, so being at Wake Forest, you've been exposed to quite literally handfuls of pro pitchers at this point. You got the pitching lab there with you as well. Name a guy that's been there over the last couple of years and the most important thing that you learned from that player.
Um, I probably have to go to Rhett. I was talking with Rhett, like kind of just mentality and starting. I haven't started in a year, so just kind of. I mean, he's great at what he does. So talking to him a little bit, and one thing he told me, which was interesting, is he'd choose certain innings to like pretend he was a closer, which I've
Hmm.
never really heard before. Is like I'd start the first inning and I'd kind of act like I was a closer a little bit, get through that, and then when the game tells me to, kind of act like closer again. And I think that kind of really spoke to me. I'm not sure how much he even remembers the conversation just because we talked a decent amount, but like just as I've been in roles similar to that, I can kind of feel with that and kind of flip a switch when I need to.
Feels like the great ones do that, doesn't it? Like a guy like Justin Verlander who can, come out 97, 98, settle in 93 to 95, and then hit you with 98, 99 in the sixth when the stakes get up a little bit. Is that kind of what you consider yourself? Because you got gas, man. You can throw some heat.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm most likely gonna do this year. I don't exactly know yet. Be kind of sick if I could just ride velo, but don't always need that. So I think I'm gonna. Last year it was a lot of just like I said, guns blazing, kind of just throwing it right through you. I think this year it's gonna be a little bit more pitching, which I'm kind of excited to get back to. Uh, I can't be really gassing it up for 8 straight innings and expect to be sustainable. So I think it's going to be a lot more pitching than last year, which I'm excited to get back into.
Well, let's talk about pitching. I mean, I know you spent a ton of time this winter working on pitch shapes. Can you kind of go through your arsenal and what you anticipate to bring to the mound here in just a 1 week's time?
Yeah, so I have a cut ride fastball, and there'll be a lot of vert, very little horizontal. I'll get negative sometimes when I cut it. And I'll just go corner to corner like that, and then have a down tilt gyro slider. So it's like low mid 80s, kind of plays more like a curveball. People usually ask me if it's a curveball, and I have an actual curveball now. So that'll be pretty big, a little bit slower, but kind of going to be used more off each other. Fastball, slider, curveball, the main three, and the changeup will be back this year. Just I threw it like 19 total times last year, and I'll just use it, take guys off my other stuff, and kind of use it. Make sure guys have to respect it.
All right, so two questions on the cut fastball. Are you just naturally a supinator who throws a four seam grip and you just get around that ball? Like, what's your grip on that pitch?
It's just a normal forcing grip, and it's funny because if you looked at stuff last preseason, I wasn't doing it.
Hmm.
And like even early last year, I wasn't really doing it. It started going up more and more. I think the way I kind of looked at it, so my before I got to Wake, I didn't really have a slider. It was just I had a slider, but it was pretty atrocious. And Moose taught me a slider, and I kind of got used to actually like getting on top of a breaking ball. And I think over time, I was like able to get feel for that, and I became more of a supinator. Like I think I've always been a supinator, but like I didn't know how to do it. Like, I just wasn't doing it. I'd always get stuck back here and just flipping. So I threw a great four seam like all my freshman year in high school, but I didn't really have off speed. But once I learned how to like finally supinate and get like through balls, it helps. And I think like it's created the cut ride. I've always been behind the ball, but now I'm just supinating a little bit, so it's creating the cut, but while
Nice.
I'm still
That's
riding it.
that's become a devastating pitch. It kind of turning it into a meta fastball these days, at least for the guys that can do it. With your changeup, there's 700 different grips for a changeup. Are you a circle change? Are you a fork guy? Like, how are you throwing that changeup?
It's like a Vulcan. It's a weird Vulcan. So I got a ball right here. It's I basically throw like a splitter, but it's kind of like there.
Damn,
So I mean,
that's wide.
it's yeah, it's weird. And it's I kind of last fall I was like experimenting with stuff, and I found it like when I had more tension, like right there, I could throw more and I could kill more vert and get a little bit slower because I was just throwing a four seam and it wasn't really working. And so I just like started moving my middle finger down, down, down more, and kind of came up with this, and it worked. So I've kind of stuck with it since then. And I've tried to change it up because it's a little bit of a weird grip, and I haven't really gotten feel for any other thing. So I just keep going back.
Yeah, that's like a split Vulcan. That's super wide. I don't know
Uh,
if I've ever seen. Yeah, that's crazy. Well, I'm looking
yeah,
forward to seeing more than 19 of those.
yeah, yeah.
Um, well, how about Team USA? I see you're donning the colors there on your sweatshirt. You got a jersey behind you. That had to have meant the world to you, man, to play for your Stars and Stripes.
No, it was awesome. It was always a dream for me. And Moose was like told me, yeah, like for after my freshman year, I thought there was absolutely like no chance. And Moose, when he's recruiting me, he's like, yeah, blah blah blah. You have a good year. Teddy and Red are throwing with USA right now. Kirsch was invited. Brock was invited, and I was like, well, yeah, sure, that'd be pretty sick. And I was like naive enough to believe it could happen because I was nowhere close to that point at that like time, and it happened, and it was really it made me really happy. I mean, all through high school it was kind of a dream of mine. Wanted to do it freshman year. I wanted to make it happen. Didn't really think it would, and here we are.
It's amazing. That's amazing. Can you talk to me a little bit about the transformation at Wake? Because I mean, listen, when you arrived in 21, they were on the come up, right? Like Wake Forest was turning into something special. And over the last 3 years, really since you arrived and since those two classes before you have gone and graduated, I mean, you guys have turned into a powerhouse. Have you noticed anything internally within the program that's changed, or has this just been a slow build?
Um, I mean, so I got here kind of the year after so I got here 21 or 22 after, so they already had like a 40-win season, went to a regional. and the culture when I got here was kind of it was already great, uh, but they definitely focused on like making sure that we learned from the years before. Especially last year, we were pretty highly touted coming into the season, and we had to make sure we handled that right. The 21 team was very highly touted, and their results didn't follow that too well. So we wanted to make sure that we could handle uh, expectations like we wanted. That was a big talk last year, and kind of have transitioned that into this year, just maintaining our culture how we need it.
I love that, man. It's hard not to like the players that you've got, the coaching staff that you got. I mean, I've talked to, like I said before we started, so many of you guys over the years, and there's a humility about the program that I really appreciate that I don't think you find in every other, we'll call it blue chip program in the country. You guys are blue collar workers, and I really like that about the team. As you look forward into 2024, obviously the goals for Wake Forest are a title. I'm not going to ask that question. You guys are loaded, but for you personally, what kind of goals have you set? What sort of boxes are you looking to check in 2024?
I just want to put my team in a position to win every game. I mean, sounds cliche, but when you do that every single game, the other things can come with it. And I also don't want to get myself into a comparison game with two of the other best starters in the nation that are in my rotation. So if I just stay on me, I think it'll be good. I don't want to be uh, wishing Hartle to do a little bit less so I could get an award or something, which is kind of a good situation that we have that we may have that problem. Ideally, it'd be kind of sick if uh, all three of us had pretty good stats, and it was a big question about who's going to get which award. Or like one of us gets ACC Pitcher of the Year, one of us gets National Pitcher of the Year. I think that'd be really cool. But you never know. I just want to be able to help my team win.
I love it. I love it, man. All right, so as you look forward to this season and you look at all of your teammates, I'm going to ask you two questions here that are absolutely vital questions for you, Michael.
What we
Let's say you
got?
pitch for let's say you pitch for 20 more years. All right? You
Okay.
pitch till you're 40, 41 years old. If you were told you cannot change your walk-up song for the next 2 decades, what's the one song that you're comfortable enough rocking for the next 20 years?
Um, it's kind of funny because I changed it this year, but probably God's gonna cut you down, Johnny Cash. That was mine the
Okay.
past 3 years. Um, but I've changed it this year, so I don't know if I can truly say I wouldn't do it, but that's all I've ever really known. So um, I'd probably keep that.
So are you gonna give the FSS exclusive on what we're gonna hear? I mean, this will come out. This will actually come out after you debut next week. This will come out on the 19th. But what are you going with this year, man?
Yeah, so I'm going with Icky Thump by the White Stripes.
That's
So
epic. That's
yeah,
epic.
I'm
Very
excited.
cool. Yeah,
I
cool. That's a song of my generation. So why'd you go with it?
actually one of my teammates at Tulane had it my freshman year and I liked it. I texted him, I was like, yeah, you inspired my walk up this year. So yeah, I liked it and I kind of it's funny, I Tibbs hit a homer off me at FSU this past year with God's Gonna Cut You Down as his walk up. I was like, it hasn't really hit the same since. So I kind of wanted to change it up a little bit. And like Alejandro Rosario shoved against us in the AC tournament with that walkout. I was like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Too many people are using it.
Y- Yeah.
But yeah, uh,
There's some bad
God
juju on
from
that song with you right now.
yeah. I mean, it worked for me all last year, but I mean, it's okay. Well, we'll switch it up. I'm not superstitious at all. I don't really care what I'm walking out to as long as it gets me my head bumping, gets me singing a little bit.
You've pitched in a million different roles. You can pitch to a new song too. Um,
Exactly.
Last question. Get you out of here, Mike. Uh, Team USA, and I'll give you Wake
Hmm.
Forest too. Who's the one guy on both of those rosters? No shot you'd let him date your sister.
Um, Honestly don't know.
Do you have a sister?
Yeah. I'd say Wake, I'd say Cole Rowland.
Full roll, man. You're gonna throw the guy that's injured under the bus?
Great guy. I love Cole. I think the problem is he's too similar to one of my sisters, and I don't know if that'd be not fun.
Too much intensity under one roof.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that'd be. I mean, you put them two together, it might be an explosion.
Yeah,
So
just combustible. I
yeah,
like it,
I
man.
already told him too. I was like, yeah, I think y'all be great for each other. Y'all are like the same person, but I would never let it happen.
I dig it. Michael Massey,
And they're like the same age. Nico's like 25.
I am if you and Josh and Chase and Cole and anybody else in that rotation does end up posting big numbers this year, which I'm assuming you're gonna do, I'm gonna root for you. You have my vote.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I got you, man. No problem. All right, Michael Massey, Sewanee, Georgia. This has been another episode of the Spotlight Show. We'll see you next time.